Okay. My sincerest apologies. This will be part 2 of this same reading. For those of you that didn't see part 1, please look for the upload of part 1. It explains everything that I did prior, and you really should go through the whole thing in order, I swear. For those of you that watched part 2, I believe I stopped at number 4. So I'm just going to kind of look at this for a second. Yeah, okay, so I had read number 4, and I was explaining what they were explaining to me, which was that we put a much higher value on earthly things that we're proud of versus the spiritual things that we're proud of. And I will apologize again for the interruption. That was clearly not a tower moment, but definitely one of those little tests that we are all going through and we're going to get more of, because they're going to keep coming up. For me, it was a personal test on whether or not I was willing to keep going with this. My normal reaction and my normal instinct was to, once I stopped that video, to throw the towel in and to say that it wasn't going to be good enough with 2 parts, and it wasn't, I just, that's it, I can't do it, I can't, and I think I said that. And the interruption, I don't know if anything was heard in the background, but I could hear it. It was distracting. I'm sharing a space with my 21-year-old son, and my best friend is here. And anyway, they walked through. So I got nervous and embarrassed and distracted, and I stopped. And that's my personal test. One of those self-worth things. So I'm not going to go into my personal stuff right now, because this is supposed to be a group reading, a general reading. But I'm going to move on to number 5. So, number 5, and make sure you can read this exactly as they had me write it. What you must do or achieve. Okay? What in the world was that they had me write? I believe it was supposed to be what you must do, achieve, or learn. Oh no, the underlying how, or the obstacles. So it's what you must do or achieve, and they're including and what you must learn, but that's part of the achieving part. The when you learn something, they consider it an achievement on a soul level. So what you must do or achieve, and the underlying how, or the obstacles that are getting in the way of doing that, in order for this karmic residual energy to end. So that brings us to number 5. There was a lot of cards here, and they did seem to be grouped, so I'm going to put them into the groups they were in. When they came out, they were all together in one pile, but I noticed, and it was confirmed for me, that there were definite groups. You have the up one to be read, and then the obstacle to overcome it. For this one, Temperance, it was a reiteration on balance. If you can see here, she's learning to balance her energy. Let's see if I can get that to... Can't believe I'm doing this. Okay. There we go. Anyway, she's learning to balance her energy. And it is about balancing. Again, you might have noticed in some of the other cards, and here it is again, the moon. In this case, the moon seems to be like pouring down emotion upon her. And she's sitting in water, which is representative, a representation of emotion. So she is literally immersed in emotions. and still she must find balance, and that is the temperance, to balance herself, to balance her energy, her gifts, even amidst all of that emotional turmoil that she's sitting in. And what the obstacle was for it was the devil in reverse. This is what you must overcome, the devil upright in reverse. Now, I initially, when I saw that, my first thought went to, excuse me, and I heard the word vices. And I apologize because this is going to be a very personal reading for some people. But I think that's why they clarified. What I immediately went to was vices, or the word I heard was vices, and what my mind went to things like drinking, overeating, cigarettes, and their reiteration, their reminder was that no, this is about your spiritual growth. So it wasn't about what we're putting into our body. It has nothing to do with, and of course there's health issues, and I'm not saying this is not your free-for-all to go, drink yourself to death or smoke yourself to death. But I did think smoking because I'm trying to quit. I have been for a while, off and on. And their reiteration to me was that it was about the spiritual aspect of this. And it's about the fact that in the midst of her emotions, in the midst of her turmoil, what she has to balance is her thoughts. Literally, in the midst of all of this chaos, it's her thoughts that are going to get her. It's every time we think that we're not good enough, every time that we think, interesting that lesson came for me right before this one. Every time we think we're not good enough, every time that we put ourselves down, every time that we say that we're not worthy or that we can't do something, those are the thoughts that stop us. Those are the things that create an imbalance in our lives, because they stop us dead in our tracks from doing the things that we want to do, the things